Control what you can and disregard what you cannot control, right? Listen, I know everyone is kind of going through it right now. People are struggling, man. People are kind of living on a day-to-day basis. And just generally, when I go out now, I go to the gym or like the grocery stores, I see a lot of people just soulless, right? They really walk around with no soul. No one's really smiling anymore, and no one's really conversating with one another. And the reason behind this is because, obviously the economy is cooked, right? Listen, I live in Toronto, Canada, and I've been grocery shopping for the last 5 to 6 years. And I know there's this pack of bell peppers. Listen, it's like a weird example, but it's a pack of bell peppers that, about 2 to 3 years ago, it was about $3 to $4 for a pack of four. Now that motherfucker is about, I think it's like damn near $10 to $11, right? And so obviously things have doubled, almost tripled in price, and gas is at an all-time high. And because of this, people are struggling to pay their bills, and wages obviously haven't gone up. So now that things are more expensive, people are just much more stressed, and because they're stressed, they've kind of like, I guess, developed this doomer mindset, right? And I've also been in this category before where I've had the doomer mindset. And let me tell you guys that having this doomer mindset will not help you to succeed in life at all. If anything, it's actually going to make your situation a whole lot worse, right? And I'll give you guys an example now. About, if you guys have watched my previous videos, you guys probably know, about, let's say, four, almost 5 years now, my mom was unfortunately diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease, which caused her to be paralyzed from the neck down. Now, because of that, I've been a full-time caregiver for her for the last 4 to 5 years. And, I'm about to turn 29 this year. So this, having to take care of my mom on that sort of level where I'm doing almost everything for her, right? That, at a pretty young age, I might add, listen, I know that eventually your parents will get sick. Either maybe some of you guys watching this video, maybe your parents are already sick, or maybe they've passed away, and who knows, right? So it depends on where your situation is. And I know that in life, eventually, people get old and they get sick or they die. It's just a fact of the matter. But, when this first happened to me, or when it first happened to her, it was a big shift in my life. It happened to me when I was about, or happened to our family when I was about, 25 years old. And what had happened, instantly I kind of, I could have really went into a really doomerish mindset. No, I didn't necessarily go into that mindset right away, but as the situation kind of progressed, and my lifestyle had changed to the fact where, let me just move this a little bit. My lifestyle had changed to the fact where now I'm a full-time caregiver for my mom for an extended period of time. And I see all my friends, they're following their career, they're getting married, they're getting into relationships. Now listen, like, like that, getting married and stuff, like, that's not really my forte. But the fact of the matter was that they got to, quote unquote, live their life in a way that they want to live. And I got stuck in a doomer mindset where, I started to look at it in a lens of like, oh, like, woe is me and my life sucks and I have to do this. And, I started getting into this doomer mindset. And let me tell you, when I started thinking like that, more and more negative things started to happen, right? I started to hate my situation. I was no longer grateful for the things that I do have, because even being able to make this video, I'm pretty grateful for this, the fact that I'm able to sit in this car and talk to you guys right now. But the fact of the matter is that I started to develop this doomer mindset, which caused other areas of my life to also lack, right? And this is all due to the fact, like, the situation was pretty bleak, understandably so. But at the end of the day, you have to understand, if you consistently think negatively about whatever your current situation is, that is exactly what you will get out of the situation, right? Maybe this is like manifestation or the law of attraction. I like to call it, like, whatever you put out to the universe will give you back, right? So in this case, if you're consistently thinking negatively, obviously you're only going to get negative things back, right? And so I kind of went through that little mishap, whatever, that the doomerish mindset for a bit. And then I realized, you know what, man, my negative mindset is only causing me to get negative things from my life. I had to switch it up. So I started thinking positively. I started being grateful for the small things, right? Being able to drink clean water, for example. That is a thing that you can all be grateful for. Even if you're able to watch this video, you guys got an internet connection, maybe you got a smartphone. These are all things that you can be grateful for. And I'll tie it back to some examples maybe you guys can use. Maybe you don't like your job. Maybe you don't like the way that you look. Maybe you're out of shape, right? These are all things that you can actually control, right? When you think about it. And maybe you got some bills that, you're not able to pay right now, or, you're struggling to pay because maybe you took a car out on finance, or maybe you got a mortgage right now, or, maybe you got a kid to take care of. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, it's very easy to think negatively about it, especially because we cannot control the economy. We can't control what the elite do in terms of like money making policies, anything like that, right? But what we can control is the like how much money do we spend on things, right? So, for example, you could budget out your finances, right? You can identify where it is that you're spending excess money and then cut back on those expenditures. And then eventually, now you have more money to put back into yourself. Maybe you want to invest into your health, like for example, your fitness. Now you can get a gym membership, or you can invest into eating healthier, or maybe you want to start a side hustle or like a business. Now, when you budget your finances, now you could take back those funds that like maybe went to Netflix and you haven't watched Netflix for like 6 months, for example. Cut that out, and now you could invest that into a side business. Perhaps it's like trading, right? Trading is one of those things that you can actually focus on. And oh, my bad, guys. I see someone walking. Anyway, yeah, trading is something that you guys can focus on. Yeah. Well, this guy just said, "Hey, what up?" to me. Anyway, so trading is one of those things you guys can focus on by cutting back on some other expenditures that you may have, right? And so this is something that you guys can do, but you guys gotta understand. All right, I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna probably cut this out and like put it back into this video. So, all right. Anyway, so yeah, going back to what I was talking about, you cut your expenditures out, you reinvest it back into whatever that you want, whatever it is that you want to work on. For example, trading, right? Like a prop firm account, for example. Cut back on stupid expenses like maybe you're going out to eat too much, maybe you're spending too much money on alcohol and weed. These are things that you can actually control, right? And people, when they get into this doomer mindset, they stop. They actually believe that they cannot control these things. There are certain things you cannot control. For example, like the economy. You can't control that, but you can control where your money is going, right? And so, and even with like when it comes to like fitness, you can't really control what your friends do, but you can control like, okay, if your friends love to eat out or they love to drink, then you could choose not to hang out with them anymore. You could choose to be around people that are lean. You could choose to spend your time in the gym. You could choose to eat healthier, right? These are all things that you literally have the choice to do so, right? And for people watching this videos thinking like, oh, you don't know my situation. Like, listen, buddy, like I just told you about my mom's situation. Like this, at the end of the day, like I could have very easily continued to think negatively and it would have negatively impacted me throughout my entire life. And I would have just ended up being a doomer, bro. And who knows, right? Like the thing about being a doomer is in every single era of human history, there have always been problems, right? I don't know, like the plague, for instance, or any wartime eras, right? And even now, like obviously the economy is cooked. We're kind of heading into World War III as well. Listen, there's going to be losers and winners in every single era of history. And so what I want you guys to understand is that you can literally choose which one you want to be, right? You can choose to be a doomer and be a loser for the rest of your life, or you can also choose to be a winner and, think positively and, really just make the choices that are necessary for you to get ahead in life, whatever that may be. Listen, most of you guys know exactly what it is that you need to do. I don't need to tell you, but when it comes down to it, only you can make that choice.